I've been working with startups about the last 10 years, doing probably just about everything except front-end work. And then the last 4 years, I've been doing a lot of data engineering with the late-stage startups. And what I'm going to show today is a personal project that I've been working on. I've got a bunch of CSV files over the years of all my spending that I've helped me do my taxes every year, and I wanted to kind of do an analysis and do some planning for the future. I've got a consulting company that I do some work on the side with, so I'm just trying to keep track of everything and do some planning. And I thought it might be interesting to do the coding with both Claude Code and Cursor. In previous jobs, I've used both of them. They both performed pretty well, but I had never actually tried the same thing with both of them at the same time to see where I got with that. So I'll show that today. And one of the things I wanted to do was have an LLM run locally to help me with the categorization of the spending that I have. It's a pretty simple thing. You just have descriptions and categories. So once you get a few of them mapped, this local LLM can pretty much map the rest of them the same way. And I'll give a demo of that. And so what I'm going to cover, I've got the two applications, one developed by Claude Code and one developed by Cursor. I've got them running here locally on my laptop, got them running in Docker. And in terms of the development process, it was all prompting. So I didn't do any software development, and I didn't do any digging into the code itself to figure out what it was doing. I just looked at the output of it, looked at how the application was performing, and gave my prompts for corrections and features. I did build it incrementally, so I tried to do it a little step at a time so it could do one thing at a time. But let's talk about, let's see them running here. So here's the Cursor version. And so let's see, I can upload a file. Oh wait, I must have changed where I'm doing stuff here. All right, so I got this little simple file. We'll just try that one. And it didn't upload. All right. Failed to fetch. All right, let's try the Cursor or the Claude version of it. Choose a file. Open it up. And this is what it is. There's just 4 or 5 lines in here, and I've got it so that this one is, I'm just going to kind of map a couple of them and then show you something a little more interesting. So this is a business expense I had that year, and that's not something that would normally show up as a business expense, so I'm going to just go ahead and map that one myself. And then when something similar shows up, I can ask the AI to suggest it, and it's a local LLM, so it's running a little slow, but in a couple seconds that should pop up with an answer. And then there we go. Yes, it's the same one. And so there's another little glitch in this one that just showed up yesterday, which is I just mapped 3 things out of the 5, and it tells me all 5 are mapped. But so there's little glitches along the way that you can just go tell the prompt, the Claude Code in this case, to go back and fix it, and it does actually fix it pretty quickly. But there is a, yeah, let me try this one more time to see if I can upload a file. Not sure what's going on there. Okay, there we go. All right, same file, and I do the same thing, and that's it's getting them in a different order, but I'm going to map this one as a business expense. And then here's a similar one, get the AI suggestion. So you see it kind of all works the same way. I do have the option that once I think I've mapped enough things, the app actually keeps track of everything I've done up to this point and all the files that I've done, and it keeps this long record in JSON files of all the records so that it can use that to help map further things. And if I accidentally upload a second file the second time, it can tell me that I've already done that. And so another thing that can get me is my spending summary over time. And Cursor added, I didn't ask for this, but it added a way to go back in and edit the categories. And so they all get listed out here, and I can go ahead and pick them up. And it needs a little bit of tweaking. It's not actually telling you what it's mapping here, but that was actually a handy little feature that I hadn't thought of that Cursor added on its own. And on the Claude Code side, it's not as clean of an interface it came up with, and then it's got the analytics piece is kind of not as much as I would like. I think it could fix it up pretty well if I went in and prompted it, but at this point I just was leading the same kinds of prompts in both of them to kind of see how it would come out. Okay. Now I'll take a look at the architecture that each tool generated. So With Claude, I built with the Claude Sonnet 4.5, and with Cursor, I used a variety of models, and I didn't really see much of a difference. I used the frontier models from a variety of sources, and they all worked really well. I didn't see any problems with any of them. One of the things that came out, though, is that I specifically asked for a React front end because I hadn't done programming in React before, and I wanted to know a little bit about it, and a Python backend. And Cursor picked FastAPI as the Python package for the backend, which I think is the right one for this project. And Claude Code picked Flask, which I don't think is good for this kind of a project. And it's more for simple things, and it doesn't help you to move forward. It gives you a nice little prototype, but Fast Code gives you a prototype just as easily, and it has a lot more capability to build on in the future. The other piece of it is Claude built like this giant monolithic file. And Cursor actually went in and built a modular-based file system. And if you can see, Cursor actually went in and put in test files. And so some of the times when I would say, hey, there's a problem, it would actually go in and run its unit tests to go and find out where the problems were. So I thought that was pretty cool. Okay, let's see. One more thing about the architecture. Let's go in a little bit more. All right. Let's see if we can see that. So it's React front end. There's a front end component and a back end component running in two different Docker containers. And this is the Claude Code version. So you see there's just basically the one app here running, the one service running. It connects down to Ollama. I am actually doing some tracing, trying to get up tracing so you can actually run a tracing program locally. And I have that running locally in Docker as well. And there's my persistent storage. In this case, I think for me personally, all I would need is JSON for doing this project. If ever was going to try to make a product out of it, of course, you'd have to have a much larger data store. But this would be fine for this project. The Cursor project is very similar, but again, it's more modular. It's got a CSV validation broken out. It actually has built out models to do validation of the data structures. And I didn't ask it to do that, so that was pretty cool. And it also built out a JSON storage. It only used 2 files, but it has the same basic information across 2 files that Claude has on the 3 files. Okay. In terms of evaluation of the 2 approaches, showed you that. So it turns out there's a lot of duplication in the Claude Code, a lot more than we had in Cursor. Again, it was monolithic versus the Cursor had built it modular. And then if you look at, in fact, I asked Claude Code, give me an evaluation of these 2 projects. and it graded itself as 4 out of 10 and graded the Cursor as 9 out of 10 in terms of how the project came out. Interesting enough, if you actually look at the full output of the grading, okay, it's in this comparison file here. It frequently mentions how much quicker it was to develop the application to an MVP product, but it wasn't equal. I kept asking it, why are you writing in here that you were faster doing that? But it didn't give me a reason, but it kept trying to put that in, and I'm not sure why that was. It was an interesting thing. Now, to be fair, I've used Claude Code for other projects, and I think all it would take would be a few prompts, and all of this would go away, and it'd be just as good as the Cursor version of it. So it was just an interesting exercise. And that is my talk. Does anybody have any questions?